I mean, obviously, yeah, coming here is a bit of an unknown, but it's just, you still got to prepare for every event the same way. You do, the maintenance that's required, and you put the time and effort in, and everybody, we all come together here at the track, and we'll do the best we can to see if we can win the race. So winning the pole is a nice bonus. I'd rather take the race than the pole, but we're off to a good start, and we'll just see how the race plays out and what we got for a car. It's probably going to be, I think, 15, 20 laps in already. I think I'm going to have a pretty good idea if we hit or miss.
Thank you. Goodbye. Pole award winner, just taking a little bit of momentum from last race into this one. Just how did the car feel?
I mean, fast, obviously, but as far as what we're going to have for a feel for the race, I really don't know that anybody's going to really know that, because this isn't the same Seekonk it used to be. They did some paving work in the corners and changed some of the characteristics of the track, but I think it's a bit of a guessing game. I think it's more of a guessing game than what a traditional event will be, and I wouldn't be surprised if we hit it and we're a car that can win, or I wouldn't be surprised if we miss and we go backwards. I mean, I really don't have strong confidence either way. So we'll just it'll be interesting just to see how the race plays out.
Yeah. How does your team get you prepared week in and week out to be prepared for the unknown, I guess?
Well, I mean, obviously, yeah, coming here is a bit of an unknown, but it's just, you still got to prepare for every event the same way. You do, the maintenance that's required, and you put the time and effort in, and everybody, we all come together here at the track, and we'll do the best we can to see if we can win the race. So winning the pole is a nice bonus. I'd rather take the race than the pole, but we're off to a good start, and we'll just see how the race plays out and what we got for a car. It's probably going to be, I think, 15, 20 laps in already. I think I'm going to have a pretty good idea if we hit or miss.
Thank you. Good luck.
Okay, thanks. Yep.
Still need it. Still leave it out there. Okay. You guys are all set now.
Nice.
Okay.
Guys,
They're good.
They're good.
Good job.
Just moments away here from our 150-lapper in the Whelen Modifieds. Before we turn the mics over to Ben Dodge and Joe Goss on the call, congratulations one more time to Luke LeBrun taking down an early season feature win here. Corey Fanning was second, and Mark Jennison Harris was 12th. Tyler Tomasi coming home in lucky 13th. 14th was Mike Duart, the first car 1 lap down, and the 15th place was the number 28 of Kevin Bowe. A quick special happy birthday announcement to Ava Grace Baxter. Happy 5th birthday, and thank you so much for choosing to spend your special day here at Seekonk Speedway. And with that being said, I'm going to turn things over to Joe Goss and Ben Dodge for the Modified Tour.
About it. We've come to see what they refer to as, well, there's no question about it. We come to see what they refer to is the big dance. The men and women of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. They're assembled backstage, and for this event here at Seekonk Speedway, there is a ton of history as you go back into the record books, as there has always been a sincere point of competitors that have always had a passion to run this great short track. The Vendetti family have changed the process of the facility over the year, and it seems to get better and better every time out. But today, a special day here as we've assembled in the paddock area some 20 cars. A little bit different for those of you that are watching at home maybe, or watching us. It's not the same as most traditional tracks of today. We do not have a pit road, but we have something just as unique. We have a backstage sneak at what goes on behind the scenes, and they have literally set up and made their own form of pit road there. That has been lined up by the way that they qualified and the way that, of course, they set the field. It was an impound event. The cars were impounded in the paddock area as well. Joe Koss and myself, we have the opportunity to walk and check out that situation. And you know, Joe, when we first went on the air today, just before qualifying, we talked about who the race fans, when we went literally through the grandstand area, thought was going to be the guy to beat here at Seekonk Speedway. And it came back 3 different combinations. You remember those combinations?
Well, one of them was definitely Matt Hirschman. I mean, he got his name, Big Money Matt, here for his success at all those big $10,000 to win modified races right here at this racetrack. So he was certainly on top.
He was one. The other name that surfaced to the top was Austin Beers, a youngster that won at Richmond. Now compare Richmond, the biggest speedway that they've run, to this, one of their traditional favorite short tracks. Here they come from out of the paddock area, 2,600-pound rocket sleds, the pride of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, the oldest and fastest division in NASCAR. There's so much history that surrounds these beautiful automobiles as they are staged and ready, and they'll be stopping in the front straightaway area. How did we get here today, Joe? Well, it's been a pretty interesting story. It all began in the sunny South, of course, we both know, at the New Smyrna Speedway for their first event. And it was, of course, Ronnie Silk who dominated the racing action. But for qualifying, it wasn't Silk who was the big dog. It was Doug Colby on that day. A little while passed, and then we went to stop number 2. Mother Nature wasn't really kind at the start of the first stop nor the second stop. But by the time when we got to Richmond, things were a lot different. And that's when that youngster driving, well, the 64 car for the Murphy team with Ronnie Uhouse and the rest of the team had set in victory lane for the very first time. Then it went to 2 stops that you were familiar with. Of course, the high banks of Monadnock for the duel at the Dogs 200, where it was Doug Colby again to show his winning style as the 6-time champion. On to the next stop at the end of May. 2 stops, the Buzz 2 Chevrolet Cadillac 200, Justin Bonsignor, no surprises. always been a Riverhead standout. And then the last stop was the Granite State Derby at Lee USA Speedway, where Matt Hirschman was the driving force and the dominant car there as well. So there you see them all staged before you and ready to go. And in just a few short moments from NASCAR Race Control, they'll be giving us the command to tell us to commence with our starting lineup. Ladies and gentlemen, we direct our attention to the field of cars stopped on the front straightaway area.
And Ben, momentarily, we're going to switch over to the live broadcast tonight for Flow Racing, and that'll air as part of the NBC Sports Package on CNBC coming up on June 17th. And so that'll transition momentarily, so we'll go quiet for a minute and get into the broadcast here tonight. Seekonk Speedway in Massachusetts is known as the action track of the East, and that's where the Whelen Modified Tour will race tonight. Doug Coby won the last time the series raced at the track in 2019 and is a two-time winner here at Seekonk. Ron Silk leads the championship points and is among the 5 different winners this season. Defending champion John McKennedy, he's got 3 straight podium finishes. Can he become the 6th different winner tonight? It's the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour coming up next from Seekonk Speedway. A packed house here at Seekonk Speedway as we get ready to go for the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Seekonk. My name is Joe Koss alongside Ben Dodge. Ben, the Modifieds are ready to go for the 6th race of the 2023 season.
They certainly are ready to go, and this is the perfect setting. The conditions are ideal. A lot of little changes, twists and turns around this racetrack. We've got some new pavement in 1 and 2 on the bottom, right where the groove is, and in 3 and 4. We talked about the strategy and the different way that each competitor is approaching all of that. But in just a few short moments, we're done with the talk, and it's going to be putting it to the test. A test at a facility that has well been known for modified racing, even though over the years, Joe, they've also competed with a lot of full-bodied events. So a combination of the best of all worlds has assembled. So let's get to the heat of the matter and our starting lineup.
Starting in the 20th position here tonight from Wakefield, New Hampshire, in the 01, the Pine Knoll Auto Sales Modified, it's Melissa Fifield.
10 rows back to the inside, starting position number 19. Lakewood Landscape brings us the TRC electric machine. Ladies and gentlemen, taking over this ride just recently, would you welcome car number 26 from Preston, Connecticut, Max Zackham.
The 18th starter drives a Koopman Lumber number 6 from Stafford, Connecticut, Woody Pitcat.
And starting back in the 17th starting position, this is a gentleman that has a familiar sight, cut his teeth at Riverhead Raceway. He'll be sitting behind the wheel of a familiar car on the Whelen Modified Tour, and that is car number 18, the Bowie 1 Seafood and Restaurant car from Calverton, New York. Car number 18 for Ken Heggie.
Starting 16th here this evening, hailing from Manorville, New York, the Riverhead Building Supply, number 46, Justin Brown.
In the 15th starting position, it is the Dan Watts-owned race car. Horton Avenue Material is also considered among the sponsors of car number 82. Ladies and gentlemen, from Miller Place, New York, car 82, for the man they call the Lutz Cracker, it's Craig Lutz.
On the outside of row number 7, the A&R Materials John's Fuel Oil Rapid Recovery number 34. From Holtzville, New York, J.B. Fortin.
It's kind of appropriate that starting position number 13 is a gentleman who's a huge fan of Teddy Christopher. He'll be sitting behind the wheel of the Sapienza Enterprises number 36. Ladies and gentlemen, from Riverhead, New York, Dave Sapienza.
He was a champion at 13 years old here at this racetrack from Rehoboth, Massachusetts. He drives a Propane Plus Lynn's Propane Trucks number 3, Jake Johnson.
In the 11th starting position, it is another competitor that really settles in and gets to the front. driving the MTT Munz Auto Chateau Performance Machine. Ladies and gentlemen, from Bayshore, New York, car number 22 for Kyle Bonsignor.
Starting inside the top 10 today, it's the Phoenix Communications Incorporated number 51. He won this event in 2018. It is Justin Bonsignor.
Starting in the 9th starting spot, it'll be the Northeast Drilling Company Musco Lighting Machine. Jan Leedy is creating the magic for this team out of Owego, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, it is car number 32 for Tyler Ripkema.
Rolling from the 8th position tonight from Sunapee, New Hampshire, the Maurice Enterprises number 25, it's Brian Roby.
He started the season with one victory at the start, and a very important one at that. Phil Moran turns the wrenches on one of the hottest cars on the Whelen Modified Tour, the Blue Mountain and Machine Future Homes car. And ladies and gentlemen, he too is a former champion of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. From Norwalk, Connecticut, car number 16 for Ronnie Silk.
Starting 6th here tonight is the number 92 Nocella Paving K&D Associates Air Gas Modified from Woburn, Massachusetts, Anthony Nocella.
In the 5th starting spot, it'll be a gentleman who is the defending series champion. He's won on this racetrack in supers. He's won in just about every division they've offered in modified racing. Driving the Middlesex Interiors machine. From Chelmsford, Massachusetts, defending champion of the Whelen Modified Tour, car number 79 for John McKennedy.
And starting in the 4th position, driving the Mayhew Tools 7 New York. Not only is he a 6-time Whelen Modified Tour champion, but a 2-time winner here at Seekonk. Please welcome Doug Kobe.
Now moving to starting position number 3. It's the Wanack Construction Company machine, the car that Stephen Kopsick prepares for the competition. From Mattawa, New Jersey, he turned some heads in practice here today. Would you welcome car number 19 for Anthony Cecily.
And starting on the front row, the driver who won at Richmond earlier this season, the AP Marquardt and Sons, Andrew James Interior, number 64 from Northampton, Pennsylvania, Austin Beers.
Now it's the man who not only set fast time, but he'll be starting in position number 1. He got his name here, as Joe pointed out earlier, as Big Money Matt. But that's not the only story for him. He won the last stop on the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour at Lee, USA, driving the PD Motorsports machine. Ladies and gentlemen, car number 60 from Northampton, Pennsylvania, your pole setter, Matt Hirschman. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for you to join in with me to give the command for the most famous words in motorsports. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get up and say those words with integrity, honor, and pride. Gentlemen and ladies, start your engines.
Well, the field begins to roll here along the front straightaway for tonight's Seekonk 150 at the Seekonk Speedway and race number 6 of the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour. 20 strong, Matt Hirschman laid down a blistering lap in practice today, backed that up with a pole-winning effort, and he will lead the field around to the green flag. Let's take a look at the starting lineup for tonight's Seekonk 150. Matt Hirschman on the pole. It's his 13th career pole, the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour, backed by Mayhew Tools. Austin Beers, the Richmond winner, he'll start second tonight. Doug Kobe, he's a two-time winner here at Seekonk. He'll roll off in 4th, while the defending series champion John McKennedy starts in 5th.
Back in the 7th starting position, Ronnie Silk, who won event number 1. And then you move back to the 10th spot. Justin Bonsignor, he's starting halfway back in the field from Holtzville in the Phoenix Communication car.
11th, it's Kyle Bonsignor. 12th will be Jake Johnson tonight. He won a Legends Championship at this racetrack at just 13 years old, while J.B. Fortin will roll off in 14th.
Craig Lutz will be back in the 15th starting spot in Danny Watts' number 82 car. Ken Heggie is there, and Woody Pitcat starting way back in the 18th position in the Mertz car, the Koopman Lumber car. He's got a long way to go, but we've seen him come to the front at this racetrack.
Let's take a look at the race analysis for tonight. 150 laps on this 1/3 mile oval here in Seekonk, Massachusetts. 63 degrees out, and these teams do not have any tires that they can change or take on pit road. 3 keys to the race today. Hit the setup. There's brand new asphalt in the turns. Nobody knows what that'll do. We've got a brand new right rear tire, so you've got to save that right rear, and you've got to be able to adapt. We've had cloudy, sunny, and now evening conditions all on the same day here at this racetrack, and nobody knows what to expect.
We certainly have, and when we talked to the different competitors, everybody had a different story. Some liked the new pavement and going in. Others said it was a little bumpy. They liked setting up and coming off the turn. They rumbled down the front straightaway, 2x2 and ready for action. Previous winners of this event going back to 2019. The last time the Whelen Modified Tour was here, it was Doug Kobe.
Getting ready for the green flag in tonight's Seekonk 150. He earned his nickname here at this racetrack to become Big Money Matt. He's on the pole, and the green flag is out, and Matt Hirschman leads the field to turn 1.
Right at the start of the event, it was Hirschman that quickly took advantage of things. But all of a sudden, if you look back just at the bottom of the top 5, that's where you're going to see that side-by-side racing action. Meanwhile, Austin Beers is reeling back in. There is Anthony Nocella, car number 92, Joe, working his way. And there's kind of an independent runner, the number 25 out of Sunapee, New Hampshire. That is Brian Roby. Now, Roby is a former New Hampshire state champion.
He's working the outside lane, the black number 25. He's got Ron Silk down to the inside of the 16 car. Ron Silk is the championship point leader of the series in what has been a tight battle at the top of the standings among 5 different race cars. And Silk and this team have really come to life this year with the win to open things up at New Smyrna.
You know, Ronnie Silk has Phil Moran preparing that number 16 car for the competition here as well. Now, Phil Moran used to be with Doug Kobe. We're very familiar with that, Joe, and how that history shook out. But it's a lot different now, what we're seeing, because Ronnie Silk's style of driving isn't a lot different than Doug Kobe. But Phil Moran will tell you, as the crew chief for both Kobe and for Silk, there's one thing. They both continue to save their tires and their equipment and come on strong late in the event. Trouble now. Johnson makes contact. Car number 3.
There was contact between the 22 of Kyle Bonsignor. That sent Jake Johnson sideways. He corrected it. The car darted to the right, and we are under our first caution of the Seekonk 150. 8 laps in for Jake Johnson. Matt Hirschman is the race leader.
So as Jake Johnson's car picks up at the rear of the field, Johnson got off to a very tough start in qualifying today. Came out of the chute, and a tire went down on the car before he reached the start-finish line. The Whelen Modified Tour rules and regulations allowed him to go back, change that tire, and to come out. he was the last car to take time as well. Propane Plus and Linz, that number, that car is synonymous with Seekonk Speedway, and that young man, like Austin Beers, is one of those competitors that everybody has their eyes on. He's a former champion here at this racetrack. And in addition to all of that, he has the patience, even though he is a young driver, as now he moves up alongside, and there is Big Money Matt Hirschman with car number 60. Now, Joe, Matt told us before that he does not like to be the rabbit chased by the dogs. He likes to be the individual that starts in the middle, paces himself, and works his way to the front. Today, that's not been the story so far. Look behind the scenes and you can see the three of Jake Johnson, what his crew is looking at, looking under the left rear of the Linz Propane Plus car. The Bowler Racing family, traditional name here at Seekonk Speedway, highly respected as owners, and they've got the back end jacked up. Looks like it's going to be a situation with the right rear and perhaps making adjustment with all of that there. And there comes the right rear off. Remember, Joe, different compound. Let's talk a little bit about that for these guys.
Yeah, so the right rear tire for this race is a little bit harder than it has been, harder than the other three tires that are on the race car, to make it a little bit more durable, meaning the drivers can be more aggressive with the tire early on. They'll try it here tonight for the first time. They did test it after the new Smyrna race in February, but they are going to run the same tire 2 weeks from now on both right sides when we go to Riverhead to continue to see if this tire should be put into the series a little bit further as another option for series officials, depending on race and track conditions.
There is a chassis adjustment being made underneath the right rear of the number 3 car, so they took that tire off and making an adjustment. Looks like perhaps a panhard adjustment or maybe even an internal adjustment, and that's what's happening as we speak. Hoosier Tire brought all the big wheels and the execs here. Irish Saunders was in the paddock area talking tires.
Here's a look at the replay. You see Kyle Bonsignor getting into the turn and into the back of Jake Johnson, and that got a little bit of contact to the 32 and knocked the left front off of his car.
Yep, had no place to go, but did a pretty good job of saving it.
So getting ready to get back under the restart, 13 laps in. It'll be 14 when they get the green. Matt Hirschman leading Austin Beers, I should say, into turn 2. Eric, his dad, won here in 2005, but he'll go toe-to-toe to the outside, does Austin Beers, with Matt Hirschman.
Here he is in the outside groove. Hirschman continues to guard the lane. All of a sudden, the number 7 car is coming to life for Doug Colby in the Baldwin race car. And Anthony Cecily working his magic. That black and orange numeral number 19 car moves into the top 3. And we've got a side-by-side battle there, Joe, and it's doubled up 2 rows back from there on.
John McKennedy in the 79 car is a driver that, you know, he didn't practice that well today. He went out and ripped off a very fast qualifying lap to put him inside the top 5, and now he's 4th. He has been successful at long run speed over the past couple of races, and that is why he's running on a streak of 3 consecutive podium finishes. He's got short run speed, it looks like, today as he moves into the 4th spot.
It certainly does. Now, we were talking about parts of the new surface of the racetrack. There is different lines and different bumps. Right now, car number 25 has moved to the outside of Doug Colby with the number 7 New York, the Mayhew Tools machine. That is a side-by-side battle, kind of David and Goliath type situation. As Colby continues to guard the lane, they say if you go outside, you better have enough speed and momentum to complete the move. Because if you get hung out there on the outside, the inside lane will freight train you, and it is almost impossible to get back in.
There's a couple things that are happening here. Not only do you have that new asphalt, the darker patches in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, it creates more grip on the racetrack, but it's also getting a lot cooler out. The sun has now gone down, and that's going to create even more grip. So these cars and these drivers have had to adapt to that. The crew chiefs have had to adapt to that. And the ones who have done so best are the ones moving forward. And you look at Brian Roby, to exactly what you said. He's stuck in the outside lane.
He's stuck.
Colby got by, Silk got by, and Anthony Nocella who's very good at this racetrack as well, is now moving to the bottom.
Certainly is. Now, Anthony Nocella has won at this racetrack driving a midget. He's won a championship on the Modified Racing Series, and he's had success in the Tri-Track program as well. Anthony running very, very strong. As we said, the outside lane is not the lane to go, but all of a sudden, to the outside, almost like we called it on cue, the Black Mayhew Baldwin race car for Doug Colby goes to the outside, and who is the tail that wags the dog in that one? It is Ronnie Silk. Silk took a peek down low. It didn't work, and John McKennedy is still there in striking distance.
Now, this is something that Doug Colby told me before the race today. He said, you know what, I like to run the bottom here at this racetrack, at least with the old pavement. But Matt Hirschman, he'll typically run the car a little bit higher. It's not necessarily where I like to put my car. Well, guess what? Doug Colby has seen the speed out of Matt Hirschman, and look where both he and Ronnie Silk are making time. They are working the outside lane here at this racetrack, and that new pavement has something to do with it.
It certainly has. Anthony Cecily, with that number 19 car, he has been working over Austin Beers, the youngster, in Murphy's Irish Angel number 64 machine. But while that happened, almost like blinking your eyes, it was Colby who went this time to the outside. Once he got to third, he's now setting his sights on second. Running on rails in the upper groove, and Ronnie Silk is following him to the front of the class. Now, Joe, I've watched Ronnie Silk run this racetrack many, many modified shows, and he has always ran strong, and he will tell you this is among his favorite tracks. 64 of Austin Beers, starting to falter a bit, drops back, and Beers has now moved into the bottom of the top 5, Joe, with car 64.
Well, Anthony Cecily at the number 19 machine went around the outside of Austin Beers, just like Doug Colby and Ronnie Silk had done. And look at how they have closed that gap. I mean, they were outside the top 5 when this run started, only a handful of laps ago, and now they're closing in on Matt Hirschman. Now, Hirschman has adapted his lane a little bit as well, because he has seen the work that the 7 New York and the 16 of Colby and Silk have been able to put together. But now the new factor is Matt Hirschman is caught in the tail end of the field, and he'll start lapping cars here in short order as he wants to work around Melissa Fifield.
He is an excellent guy in traffic. Speaking of an excellent challenge going on, John McKennedy just went around Anthony Nocella like he was almost standing still. Was that part of the strategy? But that was for the 6th position, and a good battle for 6. Justin Bonsignor is setting back in the 8th spot with car number 51. That is the Ryan Stone prepared race car. And here is the traffic situation. Woody Pitcap, the 6th car on the bottom of the racetrack. That's the Mertz car. It's a little bit slightly off the pace there. But let's go back up front and take a real good look at what's going on at the front of this class, because Matt Hirschman is as smooth as glass, and Doug Colby, if you look at timing and scoring, .376 separates first and second, and that could change rather quickly in each and every lap.
I'm surprised to see Doug Colby go this hard this early, and now he's starting to fade a little bit.
And the same thing,
not his style to do that. And, you know, that tells me that he's got a race car that he's very, very comfortable with. And this is a racetrack that you can get into a really good rhythm, because it's basically a circle. You are turning the entire time around this racetrack.
It is. And also, Ronnie Silk is doing the same thing that Doug Colby is doing. So it's almost like they have become the dynamic duo, the Batman and Robin of this event so far. And they continue to march their way, one not letting either or the other get far out of their sight.
You can see the cars as they go through turns 3 and 4 on that reverse angle. There used to be a bump getting into turn 3, but
that's
the
no longer there.
Yeah, it's now in the middle of the turn. You can see the car right about there where the 16 bounces a little bit, and that's something that the drivers have had to adapt to with this new pavement.
You know, these cars, the technology of these modified cars, every one of them, the shocks are dyno and prepared for every racetrack that they visit. And they develop and set up a shock based on the surface itself. Here's lapped automobiles amongst Doug Covey in the 7 car. And that, of course, is Ripkema with that number 32 on the outside. Remember, he was involved in the jingle earlier, so he's trying to make up some lost time there in a car that Jan Leedy has helped prepare for the competition. Leedy, one of the all-time great modified folks.
Jake Johnson was also involved in that incident.
Same thing.
Several laps down. He's only completed 15 laps in the race. He's back in 20th. He still has a fast race car, but he just came back out of the pit area after making repairs.
He has, and if you're forced to go into the pit area here, the adjustments will either work for you or work against you. And I think that might have been the case for the 3 early in this event. That can change, though, because a caution can come at any point, and when it does, the complexity of the race will completely change.
Get a good look at this battle here is Jake Johnson showing that he's got a very quick race car, although many laps down. Doug Covey riding in second, but everybody is chasing Matt Hirschman 54 laps into the Seekonk 150.
He is trying to go through traffic, and there is Dave Zapienza, the 36 car. On the outside, he gives way to Matt Hirschman. Hirschman's car, wherever he puts it, it doesn't seem to develop a twitch, any movement, side movement. It just continues to go. Wasn't very long ago that we were talking about Brian Roby running in the top 5, but now all of a sudden he's struggling in the bottom lane.
Yeah, his car
So
is
that
faded
group
quite a
of
bit,
cars.
25 of Brian Roby. 12th right now, and 12 cars a lap down.
So it doesn't take long. One slip up can change the entire complexion of the event. Craig Lutz is back in the 11th spot with Zapienza.
So
And
Doug Covey,
John McKennedy, he's still trying to stay in that top 7 bracket. And if that's part of his strategy, it might be really paying off. As there's the Riverhead Building Supply machine, car number 46.
so Doug Covey there in second has been able to gap Ronnie Silk just a little bit and is working this traffic. But, you know, last time out, he had a strong run at Lee, but a clutch failed late in the going. One of the struggles that this team has been having is they have had good runs like they are having tonight inside the top 3, but there's been a couple of times this year, Richmond being one where they had a leak, and then last time out at Lee where they weren't able to finish and capitalize on it. But Ronnie Silk right there in third, he's had the opportunity to capitalize on most good runs and started the season off with a win. It's been well documented, leads the championship points, and continues to carry that momentum every stop we make.
Now, Ronnie Silk's spotter is helping him, reminding him the importance to be patient and stay with Doug Covey. They come up on Dave Sapienza's machine directly in front of those 2 cars that are, as we said, they're up front in the competition here. Now, one slip up. Look at Covey. Nice move there, Joe. He went from the high line to the inside line, and here comes Ronnie Silk. Now, if Silk sees the door open on the bottom and he can get a wheel down underneath Doug Covey, that could be the advantage he's looking for. But, Joe, it doesn't appear that way at all. Now Covey is starting to string it out. Leader still remains Matt Hirschman in this event with 65 laps and counting here from the Seekonk Speedway.
And Matt Hirschman is just on the move, setting a blistering pace in this one. He is now lapped into the top 10. Only 9 cars in this event remain on the lead lap, and we are 67 laps in, not even to halfway yet.
Not even halfway, and that's half the field, by the way, he has lapped. So that's pretty impressive, to say the least, in this one.
Matt Hirschman's preparation, though, is like no other. He is the most prepared. He is very physically fit, health-minded individual, and that's been
very
the key to his success over the past several years.
That's right. He keeps notes. He said, I have a notebook on this racetrack alone that is as big as the Encyclopedia Britannica. For those of you that don't know what that is, that was before everybody Googled the
information. I was going to say, it's like Google today, right? It's got the depth and breadth of Google. You see Doug Covey and Ron Silk now in the battle here. JB Ford.
Oh, a little sparks flying behind them. And that looks like it was the 82, the Danny Watts owned race car. For Craig Lutz, got a little bit wide and scuffed that wall. You pointed it out best, Joe. This is a very unique racetrack because it's a big momentum track and a big circle. There is no direct straightaway, then turn left. You're always turning. Almost 3 wide again in that mid-pack of cars. And there is, to the inside, is Silk. And Ronnie Silk is able to make that move. And Jake Johnson is trying to make up for lost time and lost ground with that number 3. And he follows Silk. For every move is a counter move, Joe.
Now, while they're working through the leaders in lap traffic, J.B. Fortin and Craig Lutz are in a battle for the 10th position. So pretty good battle going on there while there's 2 different teams on different agendas, and Jake Johnson, who is many laps down, running the event in last. You talked about the circle and how you drive this racetrack. You drive it with the steering wheel, yes, but you also drive it with the accelerator. It's almost like getting into the turn, how with a dirt car, you step on the gas to snap it sideways to get it to turn. That's why one of the keys to our race today was take care of that right rear tire, because you really lean on it here at this track to make it work, to make it rotate through the center of the corner.
You know, we sometimes make the comparison. There's our leader, car number 60, going around the number 22 car in traffic again. It's Matt Hirschman. You know, when you ride your bicycle on the street, if you have too much front brake in it, the back wheel of the bicycle comes around. Well, here at this particular racetrack, you want to set up your brakes to do just the opposite. You want rear brake with a little front brake, so it lets the car go in, free up a bit, and you can get back on the throttle.
Hirschman guiding that car now with some open racetrack ahead of him. And after he won the pole today, he said, you know, this is one of those races where we could have a fast car in time trials under sunny conditions, and then when we get into race trim, we might miss it completely because the racetrack's going to change so much. And the variable of how will the tire, that new right rear compound impact, the new pavement that we've talked about, will we be able to hit the setup? Clearly they have, and if you look just a little bit ahead in the frame, Matt Hirschman, with a huge lead, is starting to close in on the defending series champion, John McKennedy. McKennedy, who has fallen back from a top 5 starting position now to 8th, is only a few car lengths ahead.
Yeah, John McKennedy's car started to move at the start of the event, and then he got in the wrong lane and it started to back up just a bit. You have to have finesse to get around this racetrack, and you're looking at the finesse that Matt Hirschman has. As Hirschman comes up on the defending champion, moves to the inside, goes by him, almost like he was stopped on the racetrack.
No contest.
Now, the big question is, will John McKennedy pull to the back bumper of Hirschman and use him as a pick as he tries to work some lap traffic? Remember, you're constantly turning on this particular racetrack.
It doesn't surprise you to see John McKennedy linger back and be, you know, mildly aggressive here just past halfway. But Matt Hirschman's really good at that too. And so to see Hirschman just go blowing by John McKennedy as if he's standing still, I mean, Hirschman is absolutely putting on a clinic out here at Seekonk today. He's going to go underneath Brian Roby, just a little bit ahead, Tyler Ripkema, Dave Zapienza, and before long, he's going to start catching Justin Bonsignor, who is a winner at this racetrack back in 2018 and has had a lot of success here as well.
You know, you look back into the record books and who the previous big winners were. We said in 2019, it was Doug Colby, Justin Bonsignor. The year before that, Doug Colby was back in the winner's circle. And Timmy Solomito secured an impressive victory back in 2016. And Eric Beers, the father of Austin Beers, he also visited Victory Lane. Here's some heavy traffic right here.
Really
and as
wide
you can
behind
see,
the race leader.
Yep. Matt Hirschman moves to the inside, makes it look so easy as Tyler Ripkema is trying to continue to hold on there as well. But there is your leader literally gone at the front of the field. The way they're running, with 93 laps in the record books, Hirschman is the leader. Doug Colby is still setting in second. Ronnie Silk is third. Austin Beers from the outside row went back to the 4th spot. Anthony Cecily rounds out the top 5. And then Joe 6th through 10th. That's a whole different story.
Here's Doug Colby. Continues to be stuck in traffic. He's 1.9 seconds behind the race leader, Matt Hirschman. 95 laps in on the scoreboard here at the Seekonk Speedway, and Colby just continuing to work. He gets just ahead, see Matt Hirschman about a corner ahead, but Hirschman continues to extend the lead, and we have had 5 different winners in the first 5 races this season. That's happened before. The record is 7 different winners. That was sent back in 1999, but both Kobe, Hirschman, and Silk, those are your top 3. They've all won already in 2023.
They certainly have, and of course, a new name to the list would be what a lot of the race fans were looking for. But Doug Kobe, a 6-time champion, teamed up with Tom Baldwin. He started out as just a relief driver, just filling in for a race. And of course, Tommy Baldwin Jr. was so impressed, he decided that that was going to be his driver to Quest in search of getting to the championship for 2023. So the Mayhew Tool team still running very, very strong as we continue to see Hirschman. And there is your leader, Hirschman, just in front of a lap car that he just passed, which was the Craig Lutz machine.
And we're 101 laps in, and Matt Hirschman, showing the way in dominant fashion, has led from the pole inside of 48 laps to go. He'll go on the attack against Anthony Nocella, the 7th place car on the racetrack. And the next car he'll have to go by is going to be Justin Bonsignore. Here's a 3rd place machine, the 16 of Ronnie Silk, having a good day again, trying to get another podium finish, and continues to run laps in the high lane as they work around the Ripkema number 25 behind Brian Roby.
He has changed his line and his strategy as the traffic has come into play. He was guarding the bottom of the racetrack when he was running on the back bumper of Doug Kobe with the 7 New York. That is no longer the case. 3 cars come off the turn almost like in a conga line as they work their magic. Dave Zapienza, 59 years of age. And there is, believe it or not, Matt Hirschman is coming up on Justin Bonsignore, who is the 6th place runner at this time. The Phoenix Communication car that Ryan Stone prepares. And watch how easy and how good that Hirschman's car is working, because he just pointed it to the bottom, and then Bonsignore's car drifted up just a bit. Once he got by, he continues to pull away. Still more traffic up ahead, Joe, and the next target is going to be Anthony Cecily, and that'll be for position number 5.
Yeah, Anthony of the Cecilys, right? Having a great day here today. He's running in the top 5. Hey, Anthony, you're about ready to go a lap down. Same thing for Austin Beers. Beers running in the 6th spot at the moment, 5th spot rather, Cecily in 4th. And here comes Matt Hirschman, working down to the inside of Austin Beers with the 5th place car a lap down. Cecily directly ahead of the 19.
Cecily is right there, and here comes Hirschman. Looks to the bottom of the racetrack, almost got pinched. They cling and they clang just a bit coming off that turn. But there's no question about it, Anthony Cecily is not going to give up that spot without a fight, but he drifts up just enough, and guess what? Coming through with him, with Matt Hirschman, is Justin Bonsignore with the 51, and now Austin Beers. So Anthony Cecily's strategy by getting up that 1 lane higher, it just didn't pay off, Joe.
And now he goes back around the outside of Austin Beers for a moment. Doug Kobe in the 7 New York on the right of your frame.
Oh,
as
trouble
we've got
now.
1 car around. It's a 3 of Jake Johnson, and he will bring out the 2nd caution for the 2nd time today on lap 115. So Johnson goes around off turn number 4, and that will bring everybody back around. As they show it right now, timing and scoring shows just 3 cars on the lead lap. Matt Hirschman, Doug Kobe, and Ronnie Silk. Matt Hirschman putting on an absolute clinic here this evening at Seekonk.
Certainly is, and the 4th place car, of course, is Justin Bonsignore, the 51. Anthony Cecily currently in 5th, but 1 lap down. Austin Beers behind him, Anthony Nocella, and John McKennedy. Kyle Bonsignore is running in 9th, and J.B. Fortin will round out the top 10. Well, here's where the strategy could change. Now, the big story in this one is anybody going to be visiting the pit or paddock area?
Well, no tires can be changed during the race.
Right.
And so, you know, you got 4 cars on the lead lap. You've got Justin Bonsignor, who's going to be the lucky dog, and he will take position directly behind the pace vehicle ahead of the race leader, Matt Hirschman. Now, you've got the wave around opportunity for most of these cars to get back on the lead lap, so it changes the dynamic quite a bit now with this caution flag as we near the finish of today's event.
And remember, you can't make a tire change, but you can make a chassis adjustment change. So the spotters, the crew chiefs, have been watching the cars that are not on that lead lap. And here's what it looks like. It's going to be happening pretty soon as the field now gets into formation.
These are the cars pulling up to the right-hand side. That will pit, and it looks like the 82 of Craig Lutz, the 79 of John McKennedy. That's going to be an interesting one to follow. Pit road is still closed, which is at the entrance right in the middle of turns 3 and 4 here at this racetrack. Pit road is back behind the Speedway. They'll go under a bridge, and they are released along the back straightaway and allowed to go down pit road. So Craig Lutz, John McKennedy, Kyle Bonsignor, Brian Roby, Dave Zapienza, and Justin Brown, some of the takers, but Brown will actually pause and doesn't go down.
Here's a great shot of it as they're coming right off the racetrack. As we've got the best seat in the house to view this. Zapienza's 36, last car in, but there is the McKennedy machine, and they just looked the car over, made a quick adjustment, and all of a sudden sent him immediately back out. So they must have liked exactly what they have witnessed. The 36 Zapienza is coming back out. 22 car also Kyle Bonsignor. Very, very unique racetrack. And car number 82 was one of the first cars to head into the pit area, and that rejoins us as Greg Lutz makes it back out in the neck of time as well.
They'll rejoin at the tail end of the field. So Craig Lutz rejoins. We've got Justin Bonsignor will be the lucky dog. He stayed out on the racetrack. Matt Hirschman, Doug Kobe, Ron Silk, and Anthony Sesley having a great run in the 4th position. Now, he had run towards the front at the first handful of races, but really couldn't get the finish. He had trouble when we went to Richmond, hit the wall in turn 3. Had trouble when we went to Monadnock, hit the wall in the back straightaway. And he's back again after a couple of races off, and he's showing a lot of strength and a consistent run as we now get within 29 laps. It'll be 28 laps to go when we get the green flag this time by. Matt Hirschman is led from the drop of the green flag, but now Doug Kobe is there, and he's got the outside lane, which we know has been so strong tonight.
And don't underestimate the men in the second row. Ronnie Silk is there. As now we quickly go right back up to speed. Kobe tested the waters, but here comes Silk. Silk, the silver bullet on the inside of Kobe, off the turn. Will Silk be able to take over that runner-up spot?
Well, he's putting a good battle now to the inside
side by
Doug
side.
Kobe as they go through turns 3 and 4. Silk getting up on the wheel. You know, you've got to use it now and get rid of all those tires that you got left. But Kobe around the outside, top, able to hold on to second.
Well, you know, we talked about that little bump, and that little bump was all that Silk did not want to see, as his car just hit that in the wrong way and it bounced off. Sparks will fly further back in the field, and some of those cars that came in for the pit stop that made the adjustments, they're trying to work their way back up front.
And
Anthony Nacella and Austin Beers are still shown in 6th and 7th, and Anthony Sesley has worked his way back up to the 5th position. But look at the margin between 1st and 2nd, 1.122. So Hirschman's car is just as quick now as it was at the start of this event, and that is an amazing accomplishment all by itself.
Now, John McKennedy was one of the drivers that came down pit road. He got shuffled out of lane a couple of laps ago, but now he's trying to put a move on Kyle Bonsignor to move into the 9th spot, and McKennedy is now slid back 1 row. So McKennedy came in, took that gamble, came down pit road, but doesn't quite have the speed to pick up any more spots than getting by Kyle Bonsignor here at the moment.
No, he's struggling a little bit, but still is in the thick of things there. Meanwhile, he continues to apply the pressure to that number 22 car for Kyle Bonsignore. And directly behind him is the Johnson number 3 car. And as the conditions of the racetrack are starting to work and wear in, with a lot of rubber being put down on the racetrack, here comes Seekonk again with that number 16 car.
Trouble in turn 1. Multiple cars involved. Anthony Nocella goes around in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Several cars had a scatter to the outside lane of the racetrack, and a heartbreak for Nocella because he was inside the top 10, and like happened at Riverhead, get down to the final stages of the race, and he loses a good, solid run. So this is the second time this has happened to Nocella, but it's the third caution of the day. Comes out on lap number 134, and it's for Anthony Nocella and a spin in turn 1.
Yes, it was. He was running in the 10th position at that time, behind Kyle Bonsignore, who was running in 9th, and John McKennedy, who was being shown in the 8th position there. So there's a good look at the Nocella Paving number 92 car as it comes up on some lap traffic here. We're going to take another look at this and see if we can find out what happened. Nocella's in the 92. Beers is on the outside, and Fortin, and really it appears that almost Nocella's car, just the back started to snap around a bit. He was correcting it, and the car behind him made some contact, and he suffered the worst of the wear. Not a lot of severe damage, and that's a positive thing for Anthony Nocella.
He took a pretty good shot to the left rear. You can see the Nerf bar pushed in on the 92 when the 32 of Tyler Ripkema came sliding in after the fact. So you could see that there is damage on the Nerf bar, but it looks like the rear end is, held in the right spot. Didn't see that rear end wobbling around a little bit.
It looks like the rear rub rail moved forward. Now he is going back to the paddock area, and the left side rail.
You would have thought there would have been some damage with that kind of hit, but it was rolling okay. But seeing how they had spun, they'll go down pit road and get some service done.
There's
now,
our
up
leader.
front, Matt Hirschman on that last restart, that was the first time he had been tested since an early caution that came out on lap 13 earlier in the day. Now, Hirschman just undaunted by the challenge of Doug Coby and Ron Seekonk. And Seekonk and Coby have just had to battle for second today.
Certainly have. And that battle, just as strong as Matt Hirschman has been in front, commanding in the PD Motorsports car, it has been the same type of battle going on between Doug Coby and Ronnie Seekonk. Now, it's going to be interesting. Remember, we've got Bonsignore coming into the mix as well. He has worked his way up to the 4th spot. And in the more recent events, Joe, you've been calling these events at the short tracks as well. Bonsignore seems to be coming on very, very strong, usually late in the event.
And that's where we are right now. 11 laps to go. Matt Hirschman challenged once again by Doug Coby. The green flag waves from atop the flag stand. Coby stays tough on the outside lane, but Hirschman runs a bit wide. Coby keeps his foot in it, and he can't do it. To the back straightaway, Matt Hirschman holds on to the lead.
It's an amazing battle at the point, side by side for second now. All of a sudden, working his magic, Doug Coby is back in command in second. Seekonk is right there in his tire tracks as they come back to the line. Bonsignore is there, and what about Fortin, car number 34? The blue car has now surfaced among the top positions here. He is now up to the top 5.
Big run for J.B. Fortin, but he is one lap down. All the cars ahead of him are a lap ahead, so passing them won't gain him any spots, but he rides in the 6th position at the moment as he tries to track down the 51 of Justin Bonsignore directly ahead, as pressure from behind from Kyle Bonsignore and John McKennedy continuing to try to pick up spots as he's now moved up to 8th.
John McKennedy is still on a roll. He's not done yet. Kyle Bonsignore, the 22, is his next target. Further back in the field, about for, well, the 11th through 15th position. Now Bonsignore pulls down underneath to make a bid, tested the waters a bit, couldn't do it, and all of a sudden, Kyle Bonsignore, the number 22 car, he's right there, and Fortin, as Joe had pointed out, is a pick car because it is not being shown on the lead lap. Back up front, Ronnie Seekonk trying everything to hold off Justin Bonsignore. Fortin hanging with the big dogs. And John McKennedy, he is still back in the 8th position with Kyle Bonsignore, as Austin Beers has dropped back to 9th. And believe it or not, Anthony Nacella is back at the bottom of the top 10, Joe.
Meanwhile, on the back straightaway and up off turn number 4, white flag is out. Matt Hirschman, final time around. He won the Mayhew Tools pole. He leads the Mayhew Tools car up Doug Kobe. Final circuit. Hirschman, in a dominating performance, has led the entire way, wins back-to-back races, and captures the checkered flag at Seekonk.
And it'll be Doug Kobe who finishes in the runner-up spot. Ronnie Silkel's on for 3rd. Unofficially, Justin Bonsignore to round out the top 4. And Anthony Sella, great run to be among the top 5. So there's your top 5 runners currently as we speak. And then they were all on the lead lap. And then in 6 unofficially, J.B. Fortin 1 lap down. John McKennedy is 7th. Austin Beers was 8th. Kyle Bonsignore was 9th. Anthony Nacella salvaged a unfortunate situation to finish among the top 10. Well, Joe, it's one thing to win, and Big Money Matt is living up to the reputation. But to win at Seekonk, lead every lap and not have anything given to you at all, he had to earn every step of the way. And you know what's kind of interesting, if you stop and think about it, Joe? Matt Hirschman's plans was not to run every modified tour event. He was going to be selective. Well, the selection today paid off for the man that drives car number 60 again here at Seekonk.
How about it? 2 in a row for Matt Hirschman. An outstanding performance for him. Left all but 5 cars on the lead lap here today. And you know, that's Matt Hirschman, Doug Kobe, Ron Silk, Justin Bonsignore, Anthony Nacella does come home with a top 5 finish here today, except he had that wave around in the lead going and wasn't able to pass any cars once he got back on the lead lap. But Matt Hirschman down here in victory lane on the front stretch at Seekonk Speedway. And what more can you say? Sheer domination here tonight.
Absolute domination, and not a surprise to a lot of folks. As we look down through the finish of this particular event, there weren't really that many surprises. The cars that we felt were going to be strong ended up among the top 5 positions. The other cars worked their magic, came from midfield and the back to do so. But in just a few short moments, today's winner will be getting out. Bristol Toyota picking up a little sponsorship on the car itself as well, on the rear quarter of the car. And there's a look at the man as he gets the big knuckle pump, the checkered flag on the roof. And he will be getting out. The PD Motorsports machine is there as NASCAR salutes the 75th anniversary. And the fans anticipating this one. And ladies and gentlemen, he gets out of the race car, and Joe will go trackside.
So Matt Hirschman victorious today at Seekonk. Let's go trackside to hear from our winner, Matt Hirschman.
Gotcha. Real quick. So here with our winner, Seekonk 150 winner. From the beginning to the end, leading the entire way. Just take us through this one.
Yeah, I mean, pretty dominant performance. Doing it from the pole. First time we won a pole this year. Thought we'd have probably had some by now, but that put us out front and not a pit stop race. So you know, as long as you have a car that's going to handle and stay with you, you can keep it out front. You know, that's the best place to be. But I believe this was a very big unknown for a lot of teams, or all the teams, because of the pavement and the characteristics of the track changed. I think I'm going to like it, but this is always, I would say, it's been a good track for me, not a great track, but now winning a Whelen Tour race here, we've kind of won it all here, between Open Wheel Wednesday, the Haunted 100, and, we've won them all here modified, so I guess it's been pretty good to me. So just thankful for the whole team. Everybody did an excellent job. This whole PD Motorsports team, the Bristol Toyota local sponsor here on board for this race, and then all of our sponsors, supporters, and crew members here that work hard, and both at home in the shop and here at the track. So really thankful to have a great team to drive for, a good car underneath me, and who knows, we might just figure this deal out yet.
Back-to-back wins for you, though. What does this do for momentum heading into the next race?
I mean, we'll just take it one race at a time. I mean, it's always a good thing. I mean, I don't care if you win on the Whelen Tour at your local Saturday night track. If you won, you did everything right when you win races. You don't usually win them when you don't do stuff right. So, I don't care if it's my local home tracks in Pennsylvania or the Whelen Tour. When we go to the races, if we do everything right and execute, we always seem to have a shot to win. So, really, like I said, just appreciate the good days, and 2 in a row, and we'll go on to the next one and see what we can do.
Make some noise for your winner, Matt Hirschman.
So there you have it. Matt Hirschman victorious here today at Seekonk. A couple other drivers had pretty solid runs as well. We talked about the top 5 effort for the 19 of Anthony Cecily today, but how about J.B. Fortin in the 6? He said he spent all day in practice just focusing on getting comfortable in the race car, and that comfort certainly paid off with a 6th place effort today. John McKennedy was able to get back to 7th. Austin Beers, Kyle Bonsignor, Anthony Nocella rounding out your top 10. Matt Hirschman, he won practice, he won the pole, he won the race in dominating fashion as he was able to hold off the hard-charging Doug Coby and Ron Silk that no matter what they didn't have anything for car number 60 as Matt Hirschman wins 2 in a row tonight in Seekonk.